Ooh, sorry about that. Hold on. I think I got another one. Ooh, sorry about that. So, yeah, I just went and put that other video up. And, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like one of those things, because I always do this off the cuff. I don't really plan these out. I don't get a script or anything. It's just all off the top of my head. Yeah. Polly Boy here has a live stream going on right now, and, the worst minefield of it I've ever watched. Yeah, he's pimping his combat vet news right now. Which, if you didn't know, that's really all he's trying to do, is he's trying to profiteer off of the war via the media and YouTube. I mean, it's obvious as fuck. No. If he was more upfront with it, I honestly wouldn't mind, but oh no, the YouTube censors have demonetized me. Oh god. Come on, man. So, and just kind of listening to him again talk about some of this stuff going on with Russia, stuff with Moscow here recently in particular. Sorry about that. But yeah, just some of the stuff he's mentioning about Moscow here in particular. It's like, buddy, have you not taken a mirror and held it up to yourself recently? Because everything you're talking about, the U.S. is just as guilty of. Like, he's sitting here going on Prigozhin and apparently some kind of catering company or something, I guess, that he owns, that had a contract with the Russian military. And then he goes on to start talking about how that's a bad thing, and, he's profiteering and insider trading and stuff, but yet, he has the energy to bitch about that, but yet, I know for a fact, if you were to mention Nancy Pelosi's name, just as an example, it's known at this point that she's conducted insider trading. This isn't a question anymore. Like, this is known. It's straight up. But let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that at all. Let's just forget about that. And with the way he talks about this what happened with Wagner in Russia, I wouldn't really call it a coup yet per se. I don't really know what to really call it. I'd definitely call it an incident. For sure, the Wagnerite incident, but how he's just going on, oh yeah, they lost, they were clear to lose, this, that, and it's like, dude, did you not watch TV at all during January 6th? Like, have you not researched that day at all? I mean, you want a coup done, that's kind of how you do it right there. But we're not supposed to question that, which is kind of funny. It brings me to what I actually kind of wanted to get at with this video, and that's kind of just my stance on everything with it, as far as Ukraine in general. Honestly, Cliff Notes' version of it all is we're, as the United States, we're sticking our nose into something that honestly doesn't concern us, and is two different fucking countries. It's their problem to hash out, and we're trying to essentially shape it to our advantage again. As simple as. And I don't think we should be doing that. This is a dispute between Ukraine and Russia. This is not a dispute involving the United States at all. And we should be staying out of it. Simple as. We just got done with 20 years of fighting in the desert. I was told apparently we were war weary from those conflicts, but apparently they forgot to tell us in the military that, because we sure as shit didn't feel war weary. Some of us, we kind of liked it over there, especially with the added pay and such. Which is one thing they never mention. Like, yeah, we had a buddy in my platoon. He got stop lost, and he. Hey, what's up, Palos? Yes, July is here. But yeah, he got stop lost, and yeah, it sucked. I mean, it was unfair, but at the same time, he was also getting an extra, I think, 600 every paycheck on top of what he was already getting, and he was a E4 with, I believe, 5 years of service in. So he had maxed out his pay, and he was getting the deployment pay. Oh, looks like I had another pop up. Oh well, I'll find that in post. See if I want to keep it around. But yeah, he was fine with it. For the most part, it was just one of those, I guess you could say, bits of adversity he had to get over. And honestly, especially to me, just the way he kind of went about things and whatnot, I'd say he went about it about as well as anyone could. He showed up, he did his job, did it fucking well, didn't fucking complain, and at the end of the day, got the mission done. Now I can't say that's how it went for everyone with stop loss, but shit happens at the end of the day, and we're all very well aware of that. But yeah, no one ever talks about that part. Just kind of funny to me. But yeah, I've been told we were apparently war weary from those two conflicts, and now all of a sudden, a few years after whatever the fuck happened in Afghanistan 2 years ago, now all of a sudden, now that Russia's beaten down the door of Ukraine, all of a sudden we're no longer war weary. We're no longer in this rut I was told that apparently we were in for the last 10 years after fighting in the desert. Which what happened? Did we just start infusing the fucking military with anabolic steroids or some shit? Do we have fucking space marines among our ranks? Like, what the fuck? All of a sudden now everyone's all gung-ho to fucking go fight the Russians all of a sudden. And yet we're being told we barely were able to hatch it out against Haji in some fucking caves in the desert. And you're sitting there trying to convince me, right, that we're somehow ready and prepared for this. No, I hate to say it, we are not. Like, we are nowhere near ready for a fight like this. And part of the reason is because of how long we were in the desert. That's not an issue at all. Like, but you're sitting there again, trying to convince me of all this other bullshit, like with Iraq in particular, right? WMDs. Ooh, he said the 3-letter word. Not really a word, but who fucking cares? But yeah. People, especially after we went into Iraq, 2003, 2004, 2005, everyone kept asking, where are the WMDs? Where are the chemical weapons? Where are the biological weapons? Where's this? Where's that? And essentially the lie of Iraq just essentially being a war for oil ended up becoming the popular fucking argument. I mean, I make jokes like that too every now and again as far as America and oil is concerned, but at the end of the day, when I make those jokes knowing full well that's not what fucking happened in Iraq. We hardly got anything. A lot of the profit margins from the fucking oil industry that we started to set up over there went right back into the country of Iraq. That was one of the reasons we were so focused on their oil industry from the get-go, is because we knew if we could build that up which they have a lot of it over there. Don't get it fucking twisted. They have a lot of it in Kuwait. They have a lot of it in Saudi Arabia. That's why those Arab countries are as rich as they are. So if you can essentially build that up from the ground up, you now have a working, sturdy fucking economy and society in the country of Iraq. Nothing fucking wrong with that. At least I don't think. But, no, the whole war for oil myth, or lie, essentially became the mainstream opinion of the entirety of the Iraq War, and it has forever tainted us from the get-go of that. And what's funny is that a lot of what I just described with the nation-building aspect of Iraq and what happened there, I still vividly remember the arguments coming from the other side saying that, oh no, we're getting too involved in nation building in a country that's not our own and this and that and everything else. And it's like, well, fast forward here to 2023 now, let's bring this up again. So you're sitting there telling me we went in too fast into Iraq. The government lied to us and it was all a war for oil. What makes this situation any different? How do we know is it because it's Ukraine and it's our guys this time? I don't necessarily see how that makes it any different at this point. I really don't. Is it because you continue to claim that Russia is somehow denying the Ukrainians democracy? Well, if you fucking studied the fucking conflict, you would know that the Donbass and Lysychansk independent republics of the fucking Donbass region voted to split after Euromaidan and after Zelensky was put in power after the Euromaidan crisis of 2014. They saw what was going on over there. They didn't like the government that was installed, and they decided to exercise their free will to self-determination and say, yo, Ukraine, look, it's been fun. We got too many fucking ethnic Ruskies over here. We don't know what the fuck you're doing over there in Kiev right now, but we don't want any part of it. We're gone. And how did the Ukrainians respond? They responded by sending the entirety of the military over to essentially wage a... I don't even know really how to fucking describe it other than a small war of aggression against two fucking independent republics at this point. You know, Crimea voted to leave Ukraine as well for some of the same reasons. And how did the Ukrainians respond? Well, they responded by shutting off the water from the Dnipro River. The the Novakoivka Dam, which was recently destroyed that I mentioned in the previous video the other day, some of the reservoirs actually fed a lot of water to the farming regions of that peninsula down there in Crimea. And, well, at this point, being that Ukraine, if anyone in the Ukrainian government has any kind of fucking brain on them, they're kind of seeing that, yeah, we're making all these bold claims of wanting the 91 borders back, the post-Soviet era borders back, but nah, that doesn't look like it's going to happen, so we're just going to try and make it as uncomfortable for the people of these regions as possible. Because about 80% of their farmland isn't going to get irrigated now because of that. I mean, I don't know how much of it was getting irrigated even when the war started, but sorry. But I'm sure it wasn't too much on that. You know. And as one of the other things with these people, the pro-Ukrainian types, is they'll always sit there, they'll always tell you inside, oh, Ukraine is a democracy, you have to stand up for country's self-determinative rights, this, that, and everything else, which is a very fair point. You should be able to do that. You know, certain regions should have the ability to self-determine what their future should be. And to that end, I will kindly remind them that the independent republics of Lysychansk and Donetsk, as well as the Crimean Peninsula, have stated that they no longer want to be a part of Ukraine. They've done it through votes numerous fucking times. And now they're continuing to lose even more fucking ground. In the Kherson and possibly even soon the Kharkiv regions. You know, these regions, they've held referendums, they've held votes. They do not want to be a part of Ukraine anymore. They've done it the democratic way. They've done the fucking UN bullshit. They've jumped through all of that. And you're still denying them their right to self-determination. That doesn't sound very democratic to me at all. And they go, oh, well, it's because it's the Russians and how they did it. Well, let's take a look. How did they do it? In some of those regions, you could have either, gone to the polling place, which I don't think they were encouraging because there was a war going on, but mailed out the ballots, and apparently a Russian official of some kind arrived to the house and collected the ballots. They processed them at a central processing point somewhere in the region, who knows, and tallied up the votes that way. Right? And they go, yeah, no, exactly that. Like, how can you trust someone else to take your vote and go process it somewhere else? To which, you're absolutely right on that. I mean, how can you trust that? And to that end, I simply would ask you, knowing that and stating that, how can we trust that the 2020 election is any different at that point? Because during coronavirus, during that entire thing, especially in the area I live in, they mailed out the ballots. Now, they didn't have a state official come through and collect the ballots at my doorstep, but you know what they did have? They did have official ballot drop-off boxes where they had a state official come and collect them and get them at a central processing point where they tallied up the votes. I mean, at that point, all I have to really ask is, what's the difference between the person going door to door and you putting the votes in a pile on the street? At the end of the day, they're both being collected by a state representative. And once it's in their hands, you don't know where it's at. So, and I'm perfectly fine with accepting with what happened in 2020. Like, I am. But to that end, with me being able to accept what's happened in 2020, the people on the other side also need to give that same courtesy to the people of Lysychansk and Donetsk and Crimea. But for some reason, when democracy doesn't work their way, they don't really call it democracy, do they? It's only democracy when it works out in their favor every time, right? You know. And if you don't believe me, just listen. Just really listen to what Paul says a lot of the time in regards to Russia again. As I'm looking at him try and break down what looks to be some kind of Russian training footage or something. I don't know. He's probably bullshitting his way out of this. He's got his arms behind his fucking head on his race car chair, looking like a fucking dweeb, looking completely bored out of his mind. You can tell he doesn't want to be there. But he wants those sweet, sweet war in Ukraine dollars. But yeah. You know, but that's just one of the things with that. If you're going to sit there, you know, and preach the democracy angle to me, that what I just stated there in the last 5-10 minutes, that's all I really have to say. I'm willing to accept the 2020 results. And if I'm willing to let democracy play out in a situation like that, you should be willing to let it play out in a country that's not even your own. And that's one of the other things that some of these pro-Ukrainian types, they don't sit there, they don't think about it. They like, there's been many times where I've sat here and thought, okay, how, at the end of the day, if I'm wrong on Russia, and Russia really is the bad guy in all this, and it's not nearly going as well as I think it is. At the end of the day, what happens? Russia essentially descends into collapse. Putin probably gets removed from power, if not extremely limited in power. Ukraine maintains its sovereignty. There's probably some ethnic Russians missing from the eastern part of the country. But other than that, essentially status quo restored. 1991. Now the effects from that afterwards, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But that's just the immediate actions that I believe that would take place in that. And at the end of the day, that's not really all that bad of a thing. I mean, I'm fine being wrong. Like if it does like turn out that Russia really is the bad guy and they end up like fucking, I don't know, just nuking Lviv for some fucking reason tomorrow because Putin really is the fucking mustache twirling dictator they keep making him out to be. I'm more than willing to accept to throw my hands up and say, hey, I'm wrong. Let's get in this fucking fight. But at the end of the day, the facts on the ground and the reality of the situation doesn't point to anything like that. The facts and the reality on the ground point to some very, very horrible atrocities occurring in that region. Stuff that we've not seen in that region since, I mean, really the Baltics with Yugoslavia and that whole thing. But I mean, Albanians and Serbs like to fucking beat up on each other all the fucking time. There's nothing new there. It's kind of like Tom and Jerry with them. Even the Croats, like, have the Croats as that fucking dog, and it's fucked up, but it's just the way things are over there in that part of the world. But with Ukraine in particular, like, this is stuff that's happening against an ethnic Russian population in that region. That it can't be fucking hidden. Like, they're trying their damnedest to frame it, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really do. Going back on the democracy angle again. You have Vladimir Zelensky, essentially suspending elections up until the war is over. Which, okay, that's all fine and dandy. That's cool. Like, I'd be more than willing to fucking give you the benefit of the doubt and that you're not trying to do something nefarious with it. But at that same time, before you've done all this, you've also suspended all other opposition parties, regardless of who they are, aside from your own. You have essentially nationalized your entirety of your TV and your media infrastructure over there. Like, it's Ukrainian state-sponsored TV. This is like shit you see in North Korea at this point. You continue to fucking straight up ban. Oh, hey, NHL. Oh shit, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on in free agency with that stuff right now. It's fun stuff. But yeah, you have the government of Ukraine continually trying to fucking oppress Orthodox Christians over there simply because of where the Orthodox Christianity Patriarch is housed, and it's housed in Moscow. And that's straight up religious persecution. Now, I'm sure some naysayers, when they go and they hear that, they'll go, oh, well, they set up their own in Kiev. Well, buddy, that's not the flex or the grift that you think it is. Because essentially what you have just told me is that you are not only just fine taking another person's religion, but bastardizing it to the fucking point where the other fucking practitioners of that religion is going to see it as heretical. Because that's essentially what you're doing in the Orthodox faith by setting up a new patriarch in Kiev, is you're committing heresy at that point. It would be the same as if, say, France and Italy were at war, and you had the Parisian elite of France go, you know what? No one can be a Catholic anymore. We are no longer going to follow the Catholic Patriarch or the Pope from the Vatican City. We're going to set up our own patriarch here in Paris. Now, if something like that were to happen, Catholics in all over the world would freak out. Like, you don't understand. That would just completely just dislodge the entirety of the Catholic faith as we know it, as a stable organization right now. Like, you would, I'd almost say like the Vatican would almost be forced to try and like order a crusade at that point. But I don't know. That's all theological Catholicism stuff. They're way smarter people than me that know that stuff. I just know that for something like that to happen, to have a challenge to the papal state of the Vatican would have ripples and unknown consequences that we can just barely fathom at this point. And now you take that and you apply it to the Orthodox religion, the Eastern Russian Orthodox, which we don't really see a whole lot of it over here, but I'm sure they're having all kinds of fucking uproars with it over there. And at the end of the day, with all these actions that Zelensky has taken, that the current Ukrainian government has taken, this is not emergency wartime procedures in any way, shape, or form. This clearly looks like a purge. You know what kind of purge I'm talking about. So, excuse me. But yeah, definitely a purge. You just have them not only trying to get rid of them physically, excuse me, but you're also trying to remove their history, trying to remove everything that used to be Russian there in Ukraine. I mean, to the point where you motherfuckers misspell Kiev and put a fucking Y where the E is or some shit. Kiev. Come on. Like, I'm willing to tolerate some shit, but like the way they have continually gone about this, with the constant lies, with the fucking name calling, they've acted nothing but childish from day one, and this is not something you need to act childish with. And they're continuing to suffer with it right now. I believe that the Ukrainian government has just ordered a general draft of all fucking citizens available for military service regardless of gender. I mean, I keep hearing in the media all the fucking time that Ukraine's winning. I'm sorry, that doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like the ebbs and flows of a fucking side that's winning in a war. That sounds like the ebbs and flows of a side that's desperate for manpower. And it's not an unknown thing either. I mean, there's been many a times where we've seen them do blood drives in a lot of these major cities, which indicates that there's a lack of blood on the front line, which you're always going to lack blood. That's always going to be a fucking issue. All right, you're never going to have enough O positive blood, which if you don't O positive, easy. All right, it's most commonly used because damn near anyone can take it. Right, but these are not signs of a healthy war effort. Okay. These are signs of a struggling effort that is essentially being grinded against a fucking wall. I mean, that's just the way I see it. That's the way the situation on the ground, the reality of everything is looking for Ukraine. But again, the whole democracy angle, oh, we're winning. You're only winning because you control the media and you say you're winning. Just because you say you're winning in the media doesn't mean you're actually fucking winning. You can say it all you want. You cannot will this into fruition just through saying it over and over and over again. Yeah. But yeah. Just remember, these are the people that want you to go to war for them. These are the people that will gladly throw you at the fucking Russians without a second thought. I mean, they're already doing it to their own people who they're drafting hand over fist at this point. And it's fucked up. And the fucking biggest thing that makes it fucked up is that a lot of these people, they can't hold a mirror to themselves and they don't realize the hypocrisy in their own words. But I don't know. What do I know? It's not like I was in the army or anything and did the whole war fighting shit. Yeah. What do I know, right? Alright. I think I rambled on enough about this, and yeah, don't worry. Yeah. The Bakhmut video is going up in a week. Again. I deleted it this morning, so it's gone. For now, Paul, don't you worry, my little honey cup. I'm going to be putting you back on blast in a minute. So, alrighty, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant. See you later.